Directors Legislative Meeting. We can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We had an executive session prior to the start of this meeting to discuss school safety. Mr. Liberto, roll call.
Mr. Starlitz. Mrs. Rao.
Present.
Dr. Halter.
Present.
Mrs. Culp. Mrs. Millinger.
Present.
Mrs. Snyder.
Present.
Mrs. Kolnkowski.
Present.
Mrs. Kamer.
Present.
Mr. Shaner.
Present.
Your second, sir.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent's report?
Thank you, Madam President. Not a whole lot has transpired since our last meeting, so I will share any additional comments at the end, so I don't have anything right now.
Okay. Okay, so that means no construction update either?
Correct, we
Okay,
have that.
all right. And we had our student representative report at the last meeting. I can just jump to citizens' comments, right? Okay, citizens' comments on agenda items. We do not have anyone signed up this evening. Mr. Repack was here on last Wednesday and provided his report. Board representative reports. We had many of those. Northern Westmoreland Career and Technology Center.
Yes, we have a meeting on Thursday. We'll report after that.
Okay. Okay, and we heard from the IU, we heard from the Legislative Council, as well as the Kiski Area Education Foundation last week. And there were no committee reports at this time?
The only thing we have is buildings and ground meeting on Wednesday at 4:30.
Yes. Yes, that is open to the public, our Buildings and Grounds meeting that will occur here at 4:30. Thank you, John. Okay, reports to the board. We are going to vote on agenda items 6.1 through 6.4. Do I have a motion to accept those reports?
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, those pass. Under 7.1, we are approving the minutes from August 18th legislative meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you. We voted to approve those minutes. Any communications or old business?
No.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Snyder, can you do personnel, please?
Yes, Madam President, I move that we approve items 10.1 through 10.13 on this evening's agenda. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Thank you. That personnel section carries. Mrs. Snyder, finance?
Madam President, I move that we approve items 11.1 through 11.4 on this evening's agenda. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Everything under finance, I'm sorry, yes, finance has been approved. Mrs. Kolakowski, legislation?
Yes, make a motion for the board to approve items 12.1 and 12.2 under legislation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Those current policy revisions pass. Okay, we will be looking to approve items 3.1 to 3.3 on tonight's agenda, which are paying the bills.
13.
I'm sorry, 13.1 to 13.3 to pay the bills. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. That allows us to pay the bills. Mrs. Kamer, student activities?
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve items 14.1 through 14.8 under student activities on tonight's agenda.
I would like to make a motion that we table item 14.7 to create the girls' flag football team. Do I have a motion?
There's a motion on the floor. Did you make a motion?
I made a motion to approve.
To approve them.
Yeah, so she's making the motion to table. She needs a second.
Do you have to separate them out though to do that?
Right.
Do I need to do it separately?
Well, no, we have to give a second to her tabling it. If there's not a second, then we would vote on all.
Yes.
So you wouldn't pull it out unless there's a second and there's a yes to tabling.
So do it
So
without-
right now, she's asking to table 14.7, so she needs a second.
Okay, I second that.
And then it should go to roll call, correct?
Is there a point to discuss this before we go to roll call?
You can.
You can.
Why are we tabling it?
14.7.
14.7.
Yeah, why are we tabling it?
Being in favor of starting the flag football team is absolutely something that should be done. However, we were tabling it due to the cost to the district that should not exceed $15,000. That what I heard Mr. Nolf say, that if we approve to start the program, that can allow him to seek out extra grants and funding. And once we would know what that funding is, then perhaps we could set an amount that the district could pay for that event.
Do we know if there have been a process of looking into comparatively for the equipment and the uniforms, and those kind of things for pricing? Because right now it just has a whole list of pricing kind of together. But, I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't remember like what football uniforms cost either. So it was like $3,500. I don't know in my head like if that's a normative cost of things, especially since the sport is just starting.
And I think that's the other reason to get more information, because I know there's interest in the program.
I think it's great that there's interest in the
Yes.
program, and I support the girls and a new initiative. However, I go back to what I asked for at the end of the last meeting, which is I want the creation of an activities committee, because I think we need a broad look across. I'm all for adding it. Is there something else that we might, it might take the place of? Is there? We don't know. As a board, I'm not sure we have a good handle on where that is. So that's my reason for my second. I'd like to see that committee in place. I'd like to see the committee take a look at it. And I'd like to see, someone take a hard look at what can we do. Because there's other costs that we discuss in executive session that we all believe are critical. And we wanna hit that. If we wanna hit that, we have to decide where do we move and what do we do financially. And I wanna make the smart moves. So I don't wanna say no, but
Right.
I think we need to look at it and look at it hard and do it very, very strategically.
So instead of tabling it, why don't we take a roll call vote so we go on record who's for it and who's against it?
Because if you vote it down, then Mr. Knopf probably wouldn't get his funding.
But I think, are we not voting to table though?
Correct, but are we voting, you were saying, John was saying about voting it down though, right?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
voting it down.
No, I mean.
No, Mrs. Snyder's asking if you're saying to do the roll call of who's for and against.
Yeah.
But I
so
think
we
there's
have
a difference
record.
between when some of us
Motion on the
are
floor, table.
saying that
Right.
we're for it cost-wise, we just need, like, is that coming out of the general athletic budget, and is that money there?
That's where it would come out of the general fund budget for athletics, yes. Yes.
Plus, he's also reaching out to the Steelers
Correct.
and other grants.
And he won't be able to
he's supposed come
secure those
back.
grants until
Yes.
we say yes.
Exactly.
Right.
But I
So
think,
table it.
too, the other part of that is, yes, he could get funding, he could get stuff from the Steelers, but again, that's the unknown of it. That's why it would be nice to, to table this, vote on it, perhaps just as a sport to start, and then we can, look at the money aspect of it after there is, he goes to see if there's other funding.
But the way I understood it was he couldn't even approach funding without having the board on board with it.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
But is there a way to vote for this, to say, yes, we want girls flag football without committing
Without having
to that
the price tag.
$15,000? That's the question.
Well, it says not to exceed 15,000, so it could be less. I was hoping that once we voted this through, because there's such a high level of enthusiasm on the girls' side, that he would come back and be able to give us some numbers and drop this total down to maybe half that.
Right. And he said these were all estimated costs too. The cost of the equipment, uniforms, I mean, those aren't black and white. Those costs may all come down.
So it brings us back to the roll call vote of if we want to table this. I think that's the motion that's on the table.
That's for roll call.
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder,
I want to table.
so a yes would be the table and a no would be no.
I'm just making sure.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Kolonkowski,
No.
Mr. Shaner,
No,
Mrs. Rob,
No.
Dr. Halter,
Yes.
Mrs. Millinger,
No,
Mrs. Kamer.
No.
The motion to table failed, so now it's the regular motion to vote
What was that seconded?
on. The regular motion was not
Okay, so
seconded.
now I will second the motion to approve 14.1 through 14.8. I will second that one.
Okay.
Because you did the initial.
Bless you.
Bless you.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm not,
Anyone opposed?
I'm opposed to 14.7 based on what we just said. Everything else is a yes.
I'm the same. Okay.
Is it 5-2?
Yes.
Yes.
5-2.
Okay, so everything under 14, the student activities then is carried. Mrs. Kamer, could you do curriculum and professional development?
Yes. Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 15.1 under curriculum and professional development on tonight's agenda.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you, that motion passes. Can you do,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve under construction 16.1 and 16.2.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion also passes. Okay, now comes the time for our citizens' comments on non-agenda items. We do not have anyone signed up, but I know someone came in late, if they want to speak on agenda.
I did, I came in late, can I speak?
Let me read the.
Yep.
The board welcomes comments of a general nature relating to school board business from residents, taxpayers, employees, and students of the district. We request that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. All other rules for engaging the board detailed in the earlier public comment period apply equally to this session. Please state your name and the community in which you reside.
Hi, guys, I'm Antoinette Pampina.
Can you step up to the
Oh, no.
podium, please?
No. Antoinette Pampina Drew. I'm from Washington Township. I've got 2 boys in the high school. I was just curious, there's been a lot of talk amongst parents about, we've got the metal detector at the football games, which is great now. And I would say most of us, because I do speak to a lot of parents, but I don't speak for the whole, we were just curious if there are intentions on getting that metal detector, that one, another one, in front of the main doors where the students enter 6 days a week and spend, my son's here sometimes 9 hours a day, between school, football, and musical. He's here from anywhere from 7 to 9. Happy to see it at the football game as a start, but we host varsity football every other week. Junior high didn't have it out for their game Saturday, so I'm just would be curious if and I don't always regularly attend the meetings. Sometimes I watch it on Zoom, but I was just curious if anybody was working on making that a staple for our high school, considering the climate is not changing and improving in terms of school shootings, just, so I was just curious and there were a lot of people, I'm shocked because, lots of people say things behind closed doors and not everybody has the time or makes the time to come to these meetings, but I was just curious if that is something that is in the ballpark that is getting looked at. But for me as a parent, and yes, my kids play on the football field, it feels like we always have a little imaginary fairy dust around these football fields. And I would like to see the same want and desire to have a safe football game be put into safe Monday through Saturday for these kids who are entering our school doors. I know some people might say, well, it's going to slow down the kids entering the school, it's going to slow down the process of the day. Who cares? We had to all be 6 feet apart, for how long? And we shifted lunches around. We shifted classrooms around to accommodate 6 feet apart with very little statistics that backed up the 6 feet. But there's a lot of statistics that every week there's a school shooting. So I am hoping that, and I say it lightly, and again, my kid is on the football field, we make special attention to some of these sporting events, but our kids are here all day long. They're here more than they're with us. So I know it's not always like a answer back and forth, but hopefully is there insight that we can give the community that people are looking into this? Are there grants, funding? We want to create new sports, that's great, but we're putting money back into the academics, the safety of the students, just curious what's falling for the football field. Nobody's allowed to answer, I'll sit down.
We'll have comments at the end.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to, in closing, have our director's comments. I would like to start with Mrs. Snyder.
I just would like to say that this is not about what you said, by the way, but I really encourage everyone. I want to get those committees created. I want to have everybody on a good financial keel. My tenure is short here at the end, And I just want to make sure that everybody's here who's veterans has a good handle on where to go. Because the problem is too, if we didn't discriminate, oh, it's a great idea, we should say yes, we should say yes, we should say yes. The problem is, where does it stop? Because then it becomes, you know, what is affordable? I've said it before, we get free and reduced lunch here because there are a lot of people in this district who can't afford more than what they're doing. And I just would like there to be a balance. So as you look into going forward and raising taxes, I would like you to be conscious of the balance. What is the balance? And there's a lot of tough decisions that get made all the time, and I've said it many times. I've lost sleep over many votes. So it's not an easy thing. So thank you. That's all I have tonight.
Mr. Shana?
No comments.
Mrs. Mellinger, do you have any comments?
No, not tonight.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Kamer?
No comments.
Mrs. Kolakowski?
Yes, safety. It's a lot. I think we all feel this past week or so has been pretty heavy with a lot of different events for different reasons. I, as a parent and a board member, ask a lot of the very same questions, and we need collectively as a board to do a better job of communicating to the community and the taxpayers and the parents, knowing that we can't go into details of a lot of the safety issues, but to at least give insight to the generalities of the direction of where we are going. It's always in everyone's mind, even though we may not always agree on certain things with it. We spend a lot of time discussing it and talking about it and researching it. To Mrs. Rhodes, we looked at those stairs last week, by the way. I just want you to know that we did. They are not great, but Dr. Lohr, looked into it as well and said that they are to code. They are steep. They don't fit, size 9 shoe very well. So we're hoping to at least add some other safety measures. They do need to have some better visibility to them. There's no contrast to those stairs when you do look at those from the top or bottom. It's just, yeah. So that's unfortunate, and there's probably not a whole lot of workaround to do about them not being so steep, unfortunately. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you.
And we've also, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mrs. Rapp.
I always seem to chime after you. Okay. You take so many words out of my mouth, but thank
sorry.
you. That's okay. We also discussed the lighting too. The lighting has always been a concern back there after football games. So we had some discussions about lighting for the back safety after the football games, because it's very dark. I park back there in the dirt, and trying to leave here after games, it's almost pitch black. So we do listen to you. We do, appreciate your concerns. And on a side note, I do want to send my condolences to the family of Jace Ho. He was a 2024 graduate of Kiski area, and unfortunately he passed away on Friday. And just want to send my sympathy to his family and his friends. So many tragedies are happening around us, and we just really need to love one another and be kind.
Thank you. Mr. Lohr?
Love that music.
Yeah.
I don't remember your new name. I know you're former.
That's okay. You can just call me Antoinette. But
Antoinette, so-
Pampina Drew, there's the hyphen. But
Yeah, I was going to say Pampina, but yeah.
I'll answer to all of you.
I gotcha. So, yeah, we have, we met an executive session to talk about just that in terms of school safety. And so a couple of the things, and I just want to make sure the community understands there, and this is not an excuse, but there are lots of intricate details that we can't share out in public about what it is that we're doing. Safety is a layered approach, right? I mean, so we're using research-based things about what we can secure on campus now to build two other things. I know that this board just voted tonight to approve a school resource officer to have another armed person inside of our buildings to be able to do that. The issue of weapons detection is not just, again, I'm not trying to down talk anybody, but like it's not just we put this in and we implement it. Where there's people that are involved. There's logistics that need to happen to be able to do that. And so this district has chosen to take an approach where where the research says we get the biggest return on our dollar for school safety, especially with a catastrophic event. And unfortunately, weapons detection is not on the top of that list. We had a risk and vulnerability assessment this past year where the Pennsylvania State Police came in and evaluated our programs, and we can't go into all of those details, but they make recommendations to us in what was called a risk and vulnerability assessment, and we have chosen to go down that list and get the things that they had recommended for us to do first. Consequently, weapons detection was not in that recommendation, but that is another layer of security as it is. And I know that there's been a lot of folks in the community who have made the argument of like, well, we have it at a football game, we have it at a basketball game. We talked tonight about there are some events that we've missed just to try to implement it. We're not done it not necessarily intentionally, but there are things that we have to do. And a lot of the weapons detection at those outside events are. We had a couple instances last year at some basketball games where there were a playoff game. I don't even think it was our school, where things got heated and tempers started to flare. And it's really for those spur of the moment kind of things to do that. So, and again, without getting into greater detail, we talked even this evening about doing a better job as a board and as administration to communicate to families and actually have maybe an open conversation where we come in and we actually just talk legitimately about school safety. And I know we've done that in the past, but we haven't done that in a while about milestones working towards that. So budgets, of course, are limited. It's about being the best steward with money and putting money where we feel it's going to make the biggest impact early to move forward. So there's not a day that doesn't go by that we don't think about school safety in light of the most ridiculous tragedies in the world over the last week, and and on and on and on backwards, right? I mean, that's a reality right now in the society in which we live, and it's obviously very concerning. So there are things that have happened, and this is not meant to sound as an excuse, but there are things that have happened that the public might never see or recognize or say, oh, they've taken this step towards school safety, but it's not something necessarily that we can reveal to say this was a vulnerability or these things remain vulnerabilities for us. And so that makes it really difficult, and I know that it kind of creates that air of mistrust, like, oh, you're not talking about it, so you must not be doing anything about it. We're thinking about school safety, and this spikes after headlines happen with the tragedy with Charlie Kirk and with in Colorado, and the like. Everyone in the community, rightfully so, says, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing about school safety?" Our level doesn't necessarily change to that unless there's a particular vulnerability that was exposed to say, can we examine that and what can we learn from what it is that happened? So I do appreciate your comments, and probably not the most satisfying answer right now, but it's something that this board has worked really hard to kind of address. And like I said, not to repeat myself, but maybe we do just need to have an open conversation with folks in the community who want to come and say, hey, what is this? Where is the bang for the buck? And there will be times where we speak in more generalities with door security and mental health things that we implement. But it's not because we don't want to. This is posted on YouTube, and anybody that wants to do harm can have access to that. So with that said, again, thank you, Ms. Rao, with the condolences to Jace's family, and then also folks who've read the newspaper know that Franklin Regional is dealing with a tragedy in their school community. I just want to let everybody know at Franklin Regional that any resources that we can help and we can provide to do that, we absolutely will. It's an absolute tragedy, and that suicide is preventable, and just encourage folks to reach out and get the resources, because it's so senseless and it just absolutely rocks a community. So those are all my comments, Dr. Holder.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any comments at this time, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, Don.